Next Curve.
Hey everyone, welcome to this Next Curve Rethink podcast episode where we break down the latest tech and industry events, happenings into the insights that matter. And I'm Leonard Lee, Executive Analyst at Next Curve. And in this inaugural consumer and commercial tech series, we're going to be kicking things off with an intro to the podcast so you know a little bit more about what we're going to try to do with this series. And then also introduce my co-hosts, who are Anurag, Agrawal. Oh my gosh, I'm really butchering that. I'm so sorry. I mean, I love this guy too. How can I do this to you? I'm so sorry.
Listen, don't worry about it. Like my wife says that I should have changed my name to Andy long time ago.
I love that. Yes, do that. Do that. But hey, look, this gentleman is a legend. He is an amazing individual. I'm so glad to be collaborating with you on this. And, he is the founder and the chief global analyst of Techaisle. And also, we have our good friend, Prakash Sangam of Tantra, Analyst. And of course, you know that him as the founder and the principal analyst. And gentlemen, it's so good to have you guys on. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah. And so before we get started, please remember to like, share, react, and comment on this episode. Also subscribe here on YouTube and on Buzzsprout and listen to us on your favorite podcast. Also, just want to make sure everyone knows that opinions and statements by my guests are strictly their own and don't reflect mine or those of Next Curve. And we're doing this to provide an open forum for discussion and debate on all things consumer and commercial tech. So with that, why don't you both take a moment to maybe, talk about your background and your firm.
Anurag, your name starts with A, so why don't you go first?
I can start that. I can do the honors there. First of all, Leonard, thank you for having me on this podcast. Yes, I lead Techaisle, which is a global research and analyst firm focused on three very complex segments of the market. They are the small businesses, the mid-sized businesses, and the channel partner community. And we derive our intelligence from the ground up, essentially, which means that we do tremendous amount of surveys with these three segments, as well as have formal and informal dialogues with them.
Yeah, and it's really, really amazing work that you and your team does. I just wanted to emphasize that, and to our audience, make sure if you don't know who Anurag and Techaisle are, or you really should know, especially if you're in the enterprise SMB tech game. So Prakash, really quickly, everyone knows you already, but go ahead, have a little chance.
Yeah, just like any normal tech industry analyst looking at wireless compute. Glad to be here to give my opinions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everyone knows you already. You've been on several times, and it's really great to have Anurag on for the first time. And so a little bit of context for what we're doing here. We really want to look at broadly, consumer and commercial / enterprise tech, right? And so anything ranging from smartphones all the way to, workstations and what have you, that whole breadth of devices that, are a pretty important segment of not only the electronics industry, but also for the semiconductor industry. So there is going to be a little bit of that tie-in that we're going to have with all the semi stuff that, we cover. But really want to give the audience here a view from an end user perspective, and the channel perspective, the OEM's perspective, and kind of bridge that divide, between markets and the semiconductor industry. So with that, hey, all right, we're going to kick things off with the AI PC because everyone talks about it. A lot of the companies that we talk to, I mean, that's like the biggest thing, right? For the last couple of years, I think. Is it the last couple of years or was it just last year? I think it really kind of went crazy last year, right?
Last year with and also it went crazy with, in my view, Microsoft making this big announcement. They're redefining PC with
Yeah.
Copilot plus PCs, right?
Yeah.
Really last year, I guess that's when
Yeah.
we started and went into high gear with many launches and so on. It was their own event, right? Right after the day before the event, they announced this set of Copilot places based on Qualcomm.
So Invent is a AWS event, but
Sorry.
Microsoft had a very specific event where they actually brought in all the PC OEMs and they announced, and Dell was the one that came out right out the gate with 7 different models. Kind of surprised the industry that they've got the 7 different models, right? But
that's right.
To be fair, that HP had announced their foray into AI PCs earlier. I think it was the winter of 2023. But Dell came out, with some really big announcement. Their entire lineup with Inspiron and Latitude and XPS and everything like that, they were all AI-enabled PCs. Yes, which was actually the first one was the Copilot+PC, and then later on it started becoming AI PC.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the event was Build, right? It was Microsoft
Build. And then they had a special day the day before they actually went. For Copilot plus PCs. And actually, I mean, AI PCs were kind before Copilot plus PCs, right? Right. So I mean, AI PCs, Copilot, now everything clubbed under AI PCs. So I mean, it's what's in the name, right? So
and really, the net new has been the NPU, right?
Exactly.
That really is the big difference in terms of the I guess the new IP on chip that everybody was really making a big deal out of. And so a lot of this really originating out of AI PC. But then, as you mentioned, there was the Copilot plus PC. And but prior to that, of course, we had Meteor Lake that was announced literally the year before. And then even prior to that, AMD had introduced their first generation of let's call it AI capable. We didn't call them NPUs at the time. It was like really weird. But even before then, it was Apple Silicon that was the first to have an NPU, and I think they call it neural engine, right? But it is basically NPU, and that was like, I mean, geez, we're going on almost 5 years. But so, but hey, where are we? Where do you guys think we are? What has the journey been like for the AI PC, and where do you think it's going?
So I can start it off, Prakash. So, and obviously, our insights come from the data itself, right? So what we are finding within our research, and we did a global research of over 2,200 businesses that covered SMBs and enterprise customers, right? And we find that there is an interest in AI PCs, right? And the interest is very kind of interesting in a way that, let's first understand that these businesses, actually, at least 50% of them really think that AI PC could be the relevant foundation, that is the core AI foundation for their entire AI stack. So that is very interesting finding, right? We also find that while AI PCs are seen as crucial for AI solutions, but their current adoption is kind of low. So in a way, what we are seeing is that awareness is there, but only about 14% of the businesses are really thinking about purchasing AI PCs. But on the other flip side is they are thinking more in terms of Copilot plus PC, which is very interesting that they are not able to connect the dots between what's a Copilot plus PC versus an AI PC, right?
Interesting.
So I think that's that is going to be interesting as to how you bridge that education gap as to what is an AI PC and what's a Copilot plus PC.
Yeah, my pet peeve is they want a PC. Whoever is buying it, they don't know yet what they will use it for, right? Most of the guys who are buying these latest PCs, more for performance and battery life and all the premium features they offer. Because I mean, frankly, if you are in the market for a premium PC, you want it or not, you'll buy a Copilot plus PC, right? Because that's where they are starting. I still don't have a lot of don't see a lot of applications. They're buying these PCs for the application they're dying to run on. It's basically we are in the upgrade cycle. We know AI is becoming big. There will be use cases and workloads we have to be ready for when that happens. That's the reason let's start buying these things so that we have a good solid foundation. At least that's what I found.
It is true. It is true. But also we are finding that many of these customers are thinking about how they can break up the user workflow, right? Because with the AI coming into the picture, which workflows can run into the cloud, how can that orchestrate with what is running on the PC versus on-prem solution. And we are seeing actually there are 4 or 5 different use cases are actually popping up quite a bit, right? One is, obviously the code generation, right? Hey, listen, let me run the code. Let me write new code locally on my PC by deploying some LLM models or even having, small language models. And I'll come to that in a minute because I've also deployed DeepSeek on my XPS 13 as well as on my ThinkPad, so that works actually great. The other use cases we are seeing is around data analysis and client insights generation, right? Hey, that means I don't need to be connected to a cloud. I can run some quick data analysis on my laptop itself, or if I'm within a customer environment, then I can showcase as to what will happen, whether I'm a constructor or I'm in construction or utilities or any type of dental or healthcare situation. We are seeing a lot. There are also experimentation going on in some targeted advertising or campaign creation and optimization. Those are elements that are workflows that are running locally within the AI PCs. But Prakash, you are right that this is a PC that is in still search of use cases and the problem it is trying to solve.
Well, you use the term experimenting and experimental quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's really where we're at, right? One of the things that I've noticed also is, there really aren't that many applications or functions or features even that take advantage of the NPU. And so one of the races that I think all of the chip makers are making at the moment is to get the software or ISVs and developers to start coding to the NPU, right? Or porting certain things, right? And so some of the applications actually tend to be kind of boring or really narrow in function. But I think ultimately my observation is this over the course of the latter part of last year and coming into this year is actually the CPU is more important than the NPU when it comes to the AI PC, because like you were saying, Prakash, battery life has really been the biggest change that I've seen over the past year and a half, or maybe about a year, right? Especially with the introduction of devices that are running on the X series, the Snapdragon X series. You see that dramatic change. But then now with Intel and AMD having made bets, I guess, in reaction to the Nuvia acquisition, really bringing some of that, CPU efficiency, power efficiency to bear, and even, architecting and bringing microarchitectures that are geared more toward more performant but also power efficient compute.
Yeah, so talking about Microsoft talked about redefining PCs with AI. I think that redefining is true, but it is, at least right now, is more on the battery life, right? I mean, day battery life we have been talking about for like what, 5, 6, 7 years. But this actually, the laptops that came last year, starting from Excelite and later with Lunar Lake, are the real ones where you are realizing that full day battery life without a charger, really, right? So that is an important transformation without AI, in my view. And AI also, you're right. I think that there is huge scope, especially in the enterprise. I would like to hear what the enterprise is thinking, Anurag, from your survey. If you take these security applications, MDM applications, the device management applications, which are running 24/7, not 24/7, but all the time that PC is running on the background, and they eat a lot of CPU resources. So, for example, I've seen it literally. You take a brand new laptop running really good, very good battery life. The moment, and super fast. The moment you put on a corporate image, that kinds of brings it to a halt. The performance speed goes almost 2/3 of what I had seen, and battery life goes really bad. I think one of the reasons is there are lots of the corporate image, so lots of this security and other applications which are running all the time, which I think could be efficiently run on NPU. So I hope there is more development on that, while we are looking for the boondoggle on AI use case.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, along with the battery life, the weight, I think somehow or the other with the Snapdragon PCs, they've managed to kind of keep the weight extremely light, which are one of the two very important criteria for PC brand and PC selection for most of the organizations. And you are right, Prakash, because what we are saying, again, quoting some stats here, that the early adopters of AI PCs we are seeing are within the IT department.
Yeah.
Right? 77% of the organizations are actually using these AI PCs internally within the IT department. Also, why? Because of the fact that, they are the kind of the vanguard for AI PC adoption. They are the one who are actually testing it out, making sure they are suitable and what kind of additional services or support requirements will be there, what type of other, optimization they will need to do. So I think that is where it is going on. The other thing is, hey, listen, the C-suite is saying, okay, you know what? I need to have the new shiny toy, and AI PCs kind of fit that bill. So we are seeing that there is a tremendous amount of adoption there. But one thing when you talked about this security and the image and all that, so they really see that somehow or the other, AI PC would be more effective in this endpoint management, endpoint security capabilities. What that looks like, we don't know yet. So I think that story needs to be told, because the speed of threat detection is a top priority. And if AI can accelerate that, that is fantastic.
Yeah, these are great points. Yeah, and the other thing that I know that you mentioned in our conversation is you would think that there's a lot of talk about the AI PCs being catering to creatives, right? Because of the generative aspect of what we're looking at with Copilot. I mean, really, AI is a really broad domain or field of study. Now we have generative AI, right? And so you would think that there would, even with SMBs, definitely in enterprise, there's a lot of talk about it, right? That there would be a lot of use or interest for amongst creatives, right, within an organization. But sounds like you're seeing something different, right? At least for SMBs.
Right. I remember our conversation about this. Yes. So
I thought it was really interesting.
Yes, it is interesting because within the SMB segment, also we are seeing not all SMBs have got content creators internally, right? Because they outsource many of their marketing function, right? So you would imagine that because of these AI capabilities coming into the picture, they would bring some of this in-house, right? But then they have not been able to hire that skill sets. Yes, they have got marketing heads and all that, but only about 22% of these SMBs are actually utilizing AI PCs for their content creation, right? But the funny thing is, so we went and observed a few SMBs as to how they are creating new content, right? So it is very interesting what they're doing, right? They're saying, you know what, I really don't need an AI PC to create content, because what they're doing is, you know what, taking a snapshot of their PowerPoint slide, for example, putting into Gemini Flash 2.0, saying, hey, write some text around this, and this is my objective, right? And they kind of write that text, right? They take that text, extract it, put that into Chat GPT or Copilot if they've already subscribed to Copilot, and they say, rewrite this, right? And they kind of rewrite this, and then they type, hey, expand on it, right? And then they say, you know what, create some video image, whether they have subscribed to Adobe or they are looking at Canva or something like that. They create an image for this and they start to plop that in. That's their process of creating the content, right? And then say, you know what, for this, I don't require a local PC, localized content to really generate that. So it's kind of very interesting how these SMBs are all experimenting, if I can use that word again. Really create their content.
And another reason is none of these creative suite, right? For example, Adobe Suite are available on AI PCs yet. All of them work still on the cloud. And I mean, like for image generation is kind of far along the way, but there's a lot of video generation tools coming. Sora is the one which popularized it. There are quite a few. A lot of them still run on the cloud. They are not running on the device yet. And especially most of the professional crowd uses those professional tools. They don't run on AI PCs. I mean, hopefully soon, but not right now. I don't see any of these creative tools basically making a announcement or anything that they'll have this on AI PCs. So
I mean, I really wanted to point this out because I think it's counterintuitive, or it's counter to the actual narrative and thinking around the AI PC, right? And so.
Yeah, and also in the remember the biggest value of running AI on the laptop was security, privacy, your company data, all of that, right? In the marketing sense, I mean, it has some relevance. I think it has even bigger sense when it comes to like the code generation that Anurag mentioned. You're working on a project or a product for yourself. You're generating code. Those kinds of things you don't want to run on a cloud machine, right? For example, or anything confidential, all of that. That's where I think a lot of value lies in my view, right? Because you have to keep all the data on your network, on your machine.
So I must say, I was at HP Amplify last year, or I think one of the HP events. I forget which one was it. And I was speaking with some of their HP partners. This is HP Inc. Partners, and a few of them were from emerging market countries like India. And they were pretty bullish about this AI PCs, because they said that, it gives them an opportunity to refresh the PCs within the public sector or the government departments within a country like India, where they say, where the internet connectivity is not required, or is it not necessary, so we can run some of those models or some of those analysis locally. Now, whether that has been put into practice or not, I do not know yet, but this was a different kind of an insight there.
So let me ask you both this. I mean, we all have AI PCs. We either have, probably more than one, but we're testing out, we're using let's put it this way, several, right?
Yeah.
Where are you actually using it? Where and when, and for what situation, and for what value? I'm just really curious what each of you are finding is sort of that value proposition that you're tuning into.
I can couple of examples like this one, right? You use the what is it called? The studio effects.
Yeah.
Kind of an AI PC feature, which basically zooms in, zooms out, those things, right? I mean, without knowing you are using them, right? So that is one for sure. Yeah. And then I use the Copilot Plus on Microsoft, and then Gemini as well, just to any query I run on both to just to do a benchmarking, whatever unofficial benchmarking. So I use the Copilot button. They click quite a lot for, and if you're researching a company, and a lot of times just testing out how bad it is hallucinating and so on. So
those are very flattering things. Come on, Prakash, you can do better than that,
right? So and translation. Sometimes I do. Let me put it this way. Other than the studio effects, I don't seem to use it for anything where I could have done that on cloud AI, for example, right?
All right. Hey, Anurag, I think we should give him an A for effort, right? A for effort.
True.
Yes.
So no, absolutely right. I mean, I'm glad that at least you are using the studio effects, because I also use the studio effects, but I don't remember to use it every single time.
Yeah, right? It's most of the time you turn it on and it is on, running on the background.
Yeah.
Yes. So to be honest, right? He said that we have got several PCs. So all of a sudden you move from a ThinkPad to Yoga Slim, or you move from one of them to an XPS 13 or Latitude, and you keep fiddling around with the settings, and you don't realize that you have changed one thing or the other somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
But of late, on the last 2 or 3 days, I did download the DeepSeek R1. Right, using Ulama interface, and running it both on the XPS 13 and the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. It's absolutely awesome. It works great. I mean, yes, it's not like the 32 billion parameters, but I experimented with a smaller one. I think it's the 7 billion one. It is absolutely awesome, and I have the comfort that none of my data is going anywhere because it is running locally. So I think that's where I started to use it a lot, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have not tried. Can you run it without internet connection?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the Microsoft one, you cannot, because it says for compliance and security, although it's not sending the data to the server, the Copilot Plus model, but it needs internet connection. Without internet connection, it cannot run.
No, you can run it locally.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to download the interface called Ulama, and then Ulama, and then just run it locally. But if you go and try and DeepSeek on a Perplexity or Amazon and all, then that's very different.
It's internet.
Yeah. Okay, so I think Anurag gets an A+, right? That was well executed, sir.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Okay, that's so. But I think I would say that's more of a developer thing. That's not like a normal.
No.
Gonna do.
No.
Maybe they're.
And also we are at the cutting edge of technology adoption, which is not the regular user base.
Yeah. But although you never know, in the very near future, that could be part of enterprise deployment, right? You might have a enterprise approved, model set that is, officially designated by the IT department as something can use, and it's pre-deployed on your device. So, I mean, are you seeing anything like that? Are you hearing anything about that, like that kind of stuff? I don't hear of like IT departments that have gone off and maybe kind of formalized the process of deploying, let's say, certain approved models or something like that.
Not yet, not yet, because the IT departments are kind of so there are two things, right? Because we cannot talk about AI PC deployment without talking about Windows 11 refresh, right? Because of the fact that Windows 10 end of support is coming up, right? So so now the question is, should they extend it by paying that $60 a fee per user, for the next extend that support for another year or so, or should they go with an AI PC? So I think that ROI or the cost benefit analysis is still being done by many of the organizations, and I think not every PC OEM has released all the models yet. Right?
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, what should we still go with Lunar Lake, or should we just wait for the next version, which is going to come out anytime soon, right? So I think those are the questions which are there in front of the IT department, right? And also what they are trying to say is, hey, maybe the productivity benefits are yet unclear. At least 45% of them are saying that.
Oh,
maybe price of PCs is too high, right? And there is not enough information, and they are still trying to look for some kind of a direct advice from the experts, who can analyze the business needs and recommend suitable AI processors, right? Which is the right processor for which type of workload. And I must say, I mean, I'm shamelessly plugging in Dell, because I think what they have done is they have actually simplified their branding.
Yeah.
And in a way, they are saying, okay, for this type of workload, you can go with an AMD. For this type of workload, you try Qualcomm. And for this, you can try Intel. So I think that's where they're kind of guiding the end customer. But what is also we are seeing that 48% of the businesses, both at SMBs and enterprise across the board, are saying, you know what, we are still wanting to know some more in-depth analysis, comparing features, like performance benchmarks and target applications, and so on and so forth. And then obviously 45% wants a real world example. So yes, so that was a pretty long-winded answer to your question, but that is where this IT department is.
Okay.
77% of the IT staff time is spent on PC procurement and deployment, out of which 89% of that time is being spent on PC support and maintenance activities.
Oh.
So now, when you think about this large chunk of IT support time is being spent on this, there's very little time to really do that analysis. What is the right PC for us to kind of deploy?
Wow.
And I also seen it's basically more persona based as well, right? Maybe because of the battery life, like the executives who are on the run. I mean, obviously, as you said, they need the latest, shining toy they get, and also the folks who are on the road most of the time, like sales and business development guys who value battery life. And again, nothing to do with AI, but more for those reasons. Those are the kind of first tier of folks who might be getting these latest PCs, right?
Yeah. So, hey, this is great insight. Just really, you're proving, Anurag, why you are the chief global analyst of your firm. It's like throwing out all kinds of amazing numbers. Awesome. But I wanted to, we're all at CES. Just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to maybe share what were your impressions as it pertains to the AI PC, of course. What were some of the impressions and key takeaways that you got out of the event this year? I mean, it was pretty. I think it was pretty AI PC oriented in a way, right? There was a lot of buzz this year. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys can talk more about this because I limited myself to one venue. I didn't
Uh,
walk around like you were all over different venues. Prakash,
yeah, but
you
I
want
was
to
looking
start
at
about
other
this? Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I was looking at other stuff too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I didn't go to a lot of the AI PC folks as such. I think AMD was the only one with new announcements and so on, right? All others
Yeah,
were they did
yeah.
not make. It's more of a show and tell rather than new product announcements as such, right? So
Well, yeah,
so I mean, everybody had that on their display as one of their components. So, I mean, I didn't see anything really new about AI PCs at CES. Of course, AI was everywhere. Yeah, that's at a very high level.
You know, so then let me say, so Lenovo's ThinkBook
Yeah,
was a game changer, right? Because that ThinkBook, I mean, they've evolved their
oh yeah,
ThinkBook line for the last several years, and the new one with when you put your palm against it, it recognizes and the screen extends
yeah, yeah,
vertically
yeah,
up. I think
yeah,
that was absolutely fantastic.
yeah.
Some of the other things that they have done is, I think, AI Sound Studio or something like that they called it.
Correct.
It was a concept PC where you are speaking, you are in a conference call, you're moving around, the speaker or the screen kind of moves along with you.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
that is
that's
that is very interesting.
yeah,
And above all, I think AMD made some really good announcements regarding AI CPUs, and along with that, HP was there and Dell was there.
Yeah.
Both of them had made some announcements along with AMD on the same stage, which is actually was pretty
Yeah, that
interesting and impressive. Yeah.
yeah, that was the geez, let me see if I can get this right. It was the Ryzen AI 300 Pro, and Sandberg getting up on stage and announcing that AMD is going to be partnering,
Correct.
or Dell is going to be partnering with AMD to now bring their chips into enterprise. Right? I think
Correct.
that was like one of the big news items. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then maybe okay. So yeah, here's the other thing that I thought was it's an inevitable thing. I think now you're starting to see the AI PC concept move toward desktop, right? So non-portable. With the advent or introduction of Arrow Lake. Obviously have you Lunar Lake. Intel kind of teased Panther Lake, but I think it's really this move up the PC category toward workstation. This definition of AI PC that I thought was kind of interesting. And the other thing is what NVIDIA is doing, right? I mean, they introduced digits.
Yeah.
And obviously that's like literally a Blackwell supercomputing server in a tiny little box. You see them bringing their own definition of what a AI PC is, which is GPU centric, and then we're seeing this kind of like meeting of the two minds.
Yep.
And so AI PC, I think, is this year is going to be a really confusing thing, right? Because for so long it's been about MPU. It's all about MPU, and then now, especially AMD is in a weird spot because they're in the GPU game as well, right?
yeah.
I thought I saw that was like one of the big things for me coming out of CES.
And it also, I mean, it started at a premium laptop, high performance laptop level.
Yeah.
Going up to the desktop, and there are also rumors / news about NVIDIA and MediaTek coming out, right? And it's also going down. Another point about enterprise want full portfolio of offerings, right?
Yeah.
From a $600-700 PC to a premium PC. So there are a lot of Qualcomm announced this basically X series, and then and I
Snapdragon X, right?
X series, yes, X. It was X Elite, X Plus. Now it's just X.
X, yeah. For the $600 and below,
correct. And also the Lenovo, I had a few very interesting demonstrations. Of course, the extended rollable display was very interesting, very usable. I think we talked about quite a lot on the podcast. And then they had an interesting mouse, if you see, which was that was good. And then this the enterprise audio system in its POC, that was interesting as well. I think going back to main point, it's basically PCs are becoming AI PCs, so I don't think there will be a non-AI PC very soon, in my view, right? So
exactly,
we use it for AI or not, with basically PCs are becoming AI PCs, in my view.
I agree.
Only matter of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Every PC will be replaced by AI PC, whether we use it for AI or not.
Well, maybe that's why there is, the super cycle, this theoretical or this anticipated super cycle may not actually happen. It's just it's exactly what you're saying. It was like anyone who's going to be buying a new PC is likely going to be buying a new AI PC. It's not accretive, right? It's just, it's a substitute, right? It's displacing non-AI PC.
It's kind of, I think, acceleration. It's basically, accelerating. And you now got more reasons to upgrade. It's not only because 10 is end of life with Windows 10, you have to get 11, and you have more reason. And then if you're looking to upgrade, why would you buy a non-AI PC, right? So it's kind of that's I think.
I think it goes back to your point about personas, right?
Yeah.
For example, if there is a back-end user, right, then you say, you know what, why should I spend? Or even if the pricing is same, am I buying one feature too many?
Mm-hmm.
With an AI PC, right? If it's a client front facing employee, then say maybe I should go in for that. And then within that, then you say, okay, what should I go with an Intel, or should I go with the Ryzen AI 300 series processor, right? And then I think. We talked about AMD as well. I don't think we should count out AMD, because I think the announcement that they made, if I remember correctly, I think it was the Strix Halo up to 16 Zen 5 processors or cores, right? I think that's a pretty solid Copilot plus PC or AI PC that they've announced, right? So I think that they will run into this problem about, is Intel versus AMD, which one should I go with?
Yeah. And their client division did pretty well this past quarter. So looks like they're making some serious traction with their SoCs. So hey, so let's talk about the devices that we've been tinkering around with. Because it's one of the things that I think would be interesting for our audience is we have all these AI PCs, and I know that there's some that we share in common that we've been testing out. So what are your impressions? What are some, and I think, why don't we start off with one of the latest ones that we received, which is the Lunar Lake or the Aura Edition Lenovo X1 Carbon Gen 13. Did I get it right?
You got it all right. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm impressed.
I've been using it, and first impression is it's just incredibly light. Straight out of the box, it was like a feather.
Maya, if you're an IT guy listening to this, you want to make your CEO, CFO, CTO happy, just give this PC to him. Right?
So make sure it's haptic trackpad version, please.
I mean, it's incredibly light, pretty fast, I mean, and yeah, I'm been really impressed with its use.
I think, yeah,
I use
I mean,
Unison. I'm a power user of PC and phone, interaction. Unison works fine, works most of the time. I feel it's still a little slow, and there is some room to improve there. But the PC is really, really good.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
yeah, yes, it is. It is absolutely good. I mean, see, ThinkPads have always been very light.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the previous gen ThinkPad X1 was all Carbon was also pretty light.
Yeah.
The ThinkPad X1 Nano was also very light. So it has been extremely light, right? But I think in this case, within a very thin form factor, they've been able to fit in an HDMI port. They've got this USB-C ports and everything like that. I think it's a no-brainer to use that. And the keyboard layout is absolutely unbelievably good. I still don't use the track point. It's still there, and
Point.
it is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not, I thought they kept it just for branding sake. It's kind of defines the identity of ThinkPad, right? I actually talked to somebody who said he loves it, he uses it. I'm surprised, but I talked to somebody who uses the trackpad, the track point.
Yeah.
It has very different names. Everybody has their favorite name.
Yeah.
The point, the right
favorite. Yeah. Well, when I used to use ThinkPads all the time for work, when I was at IBM, I used the track point all the time. Yeah. Because number one, I didn't like carrying a mouse around.
Yeah.
Just because I thought it's like, well, why do I need to carry something else to interface with my computer? And then, but the problem is the trackpad was not that good, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I was hoping is, with the model that Lenovo sent me, I get the haptic feedback version because, I use Macs. MacBooks have amazing trackpads, right? I don't use mouses or mice or whatever you call them. I'm a big trackpad person. And so I think having a good trackpad experience is very important because if you don't have a great experience, you do have to resort to a mouse. There are like all these dead spots, on non-haptic feedback trackpads, and that really gets in the way of your productivity. But definitely one of the big pluses, and I know some of these improvements are incremental, right? But that keyboard, it's inspiring. It actually helps me be productive, and I have to be very objective here or subjective here. It's better than the MacBook keyboard. And I oftentimes, like when I'm doing heavy writing, I use the ThinkPad because the keyboard is just so easy to use. And so they've always done a great job with the keyboard. It's a huge forte for them, even versus other brands. I don't know what you think, Anurag.
No, it is absolutely great. I mean, I think they call it the tabletop curve or something like that.
Yeah.
But another feature I find very useful within this laptop is the 65-watt rapid charging. It charges up to 80% within an hour, which is absolutely unbelievably great, right? This is where it kind of, I say, even with the 80% charge, I think I can get, half a day to full day of work. But the only downside is I think they need to upgrade the camera, the webcam, right? I think it is not even 5 MP right now. I think they should do that.
So you would rather have like AI to kind of make us look 10 years younger? Is that
absolutely? And I think they have
you.
I think they have it. They call it the AI camera, or maybe they have it in the other one, which is the ThinkPad 14s Gen 6. I think they have this AI camera.
I see.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys use the Slim 7X as well, Yoga
Yeah.
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 7X. Yeah.
Much heavier.
Yeah, much heavier. Yeah, and the display of that is a little bit brighter than this. I
Yeah.
found. Yeah, it's much heavier. Battery life, I mean, both were similar.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, you get one full working day of battery life. More than that, I think most of the time you don't need, right? Multi-day
Yeah.
battery life, people
I-
claim, but you at the end of the day, you always come back to your home or hotel if you're traveling and you have opportunity, and you obviously have been working on the night and you can charge. So both of them are similar. I actually, used the Samsung Galaxy Book or Edge as well, which is X Elite based laptop. It's a 16-inch and pretty light, not as light as Carbon, of course, because it's bigger. And that was, I mean, I really love the Carbon X1 keyboard.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying when you click, you know that you hit it right. I was also the keyboard that it's a different keyboard, thin keyboard that Edge has. I like that too. I'm kind of torn between which is they're two different kinds, two different experience. I'm torn between which I like most. So maybe both them, right? And then and this keyboard is not that noisy. The Edge one is a little bit noisy, especially the shift key. And then, I mean, it's for a 16-inch, it's pretty thin and light too. So, I mean, going back to the point, I mean, these were all sold as Copilot+PCs with huge NPU, but I think what we are talking about and what people are liking or not liking are basically nothing related to AI, right? They are good PC.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true.
Battery life and other things, right? So, that's what highlighting my.
And I think that's going to be a struggle for a lot of the OEMs because so many of them are looking at developing and their sort of branded AI experiences. You know, how do you differentiate with AI? I mean, one thing that is quite evident is that the whole Copilot plus PC launch didn't have the impact I think a lot of OEMs and consumers and enterprises were expecting, you know. And so I think they didn't get a boost from that, and so now everyone is in a race to figure out how do we surface a value story around on device AI, because we can most of these things are cloud bound, right? They're being served from the cloud. So that's going to be a challenge in terms of substantiating the identity of an AI PC beyond the NPU. But definitely, I mean, you mentioned the battery life. That I think has just been has done a great job of upping the ante and really getting very close to, if not exceeding, the MacBook experiences, right? The longevity that that has been the trademark for the Macs. I can't say that the X series is the only game in town when it comes to that battery life. I mean, even the standby power all day on the Lunar Lake or the Aura Edition X1 Carbon, very, very good. And very comparable to the Yoga.
Absolutely right. I mean, even XPS 13 on Snapdragon, which I've been using a lot, has been absolutely fantastic. Yes, it's a smaller form factor, but the point here is that they managed to make it light, because Dell PCs are generally pretty heavy, but they have managed to make it light. The same level of battery life. The screen is bright. So it is absolutely good, right? But I must bring up a point. Sorry to interject here, Leonard, but
go ahead.
But I would have thought by this time, Dell's AI Studio or Lenovo's AI Now or HP's AI Companion would have been further along, in their evolution, right? Because many of these are meant to run locally, take advantage of this AI capability of the PC. So I've not seen that, right? I did not see that. Yes, there were some stray examples at the CES, but I've not seen them really evolve, right? Like Lenovo AI now is built on this Meta Llama, right?
Yeah.
It's a local language model. And HP's AI companion, they say that, you know what, it can help the users discover and analyze, perform, and these kind of things. But I really want to see that evolve and make it very practical
Yeah.
for the user.
Yeah, well, maybe it's going to be that whole agentic thing that everyone's pushing now. So we'll see how all of that shapes up. But I think that will come with some challenges.
Yeah, I mean, there is actually a good scope now to make whether you call agentic or not, made more personalization, more interactive. For example, even searching for settings, you could make it much more easier with AI, right? For example, right? Display settings,
Sure.
right? They have now some of it, but it could be much more. And some of these examples of UI and like Lenovo, I mean, they're trying to do, you can create an image on the device, and others. I don't know how much utility they have in enterprise space, because creating a nice sketch. Okay, yeah. So
I kind of use those tools. Apple Intelligence, they have the image playground. Also in Copilot, I very occasionally, but let's put it this way: I wouldn't pay for any of this stuff.
Correct. So
no problem. I would not pay for this. It's like, you know what? Okay, nice new feature for the software upgrade, but come on, I'm not going to pay for this. I'm sorry. We don't sugarcoat stuff, or at least
so
you guys want to do it.
with agentic,
but I know you won't.
Yeah. So what I think the opportunity that OEMs have is, AI is kind of, the cloud is becoming siloed, right? You have Microsoft silo, Google silo, Meta silo, and other things. And obviously, if you're on one, you cannot interact with the applications in the other realm. Maybe since they are working with Google, and on the Chrome, for example, they can work with Gemini, and they're like Lenovo, they have Llama model on their laptop, and obviously with Microsoft, all of the Copilot+ things. Maybe they should come up with a middle layer, call it agentic or not, which kind of abstracts the things for the user. Puts the models behind and come up with use cases and uses which simplifies the complexity and makes it useful for the user. It could be a simple example is Microsoft Office applications, and then I have Gmail, and I might be using Google Calendar, for example, or Chrome, and so on. Somehow you are, have homogeneous user experience or something like that interworking or something of sorts.
Yeah. So you're right. So I think that's what we call as the interwork platform, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I would like this file explorer to kind of go away completely, right? Because every time you have to find a file, you start to search for it.
Good.
I mean, I would know, because the PC knows me, right? They should know me a lot more. They know at what angle I keep my PC, at what point I get up and close the lid and things like that. It should exactly know, depending upon the context. Hey, I have a podcast recording with Leonard and Prakash, and we are going to talk about AI PC. It should present to me the AI data that we have from the research automatically up on the screen. Right? So that's what I am waiting for. Now, whether that's based on agentic AI or it is something else, I think that's where you say, you know what, the PC should know me exactly inside and out. Everything should be interconnected. Not only know my calendar, but what problem I'm trying to solve. I think that's where the AI PC will become really useful.
Yeah, for example, if you use recall, famous or infamous use, if we are coming for this this discussion on AI, maybe it gives a snapshot and a summary of all the things the recall has seen related to AI PCs from myself, from others, maybe summarizes as bullet points for us to refer, right? For example, something like.
But I think, but that is done by Zoom itself, right? I mean, here is the summary meetings. Here are the action items. So
No, that's only for Zoom, right? I'm saying everything that I have done with my PC, be it Chrome, be it Edge, be it Microsoft applications, right? So across the board, everything is, it's what Zoom can do is for only that meeting. If I have meeting on Teams, for example, discuss the same thing, as Zoom cannot do it, right? So I think OEMs with this with the device, they are seeing all that on the screen, right? So or on the screen or on their device. So maybe I don't know whether they will have access to all of that, but if they can combine break the silos, combine the information from different silos and present as a homogeneous experience to the user, I mean, that's where
it is true. And I think that's the promise of the connected business or the connected user, where you look at the connected workspace and connected cloud applications, connected collaboration or security and everything. And they all have to be interconnected one way or the other. And probably Agentic AI can do it if you run it. And maybe they can do it locally. And that's where this orchestration piece will come into the picture. And PC OEMs will have to think through it and say, you know what? How can I enable this for the user that some pieces can be run in the cloud and some pieces can be run locally? Anyway, we are just kind of thinking through this.
Well, yeah, you know what? Everyone out there, if you're looking for agentic AI, UI engineers, okay, and innovators, these two guys right here, just give them a call.
and him too.
Wow. You know what? We can go on forever, quite literally, but I have to tell you, gentlemen, I'm getting hungry. But wow, we went a bit long with our first episode here, but this is really great. This is really fun. I think it should be very informative to the audience if they have more than a 15-second attention span. So we do this here, to basically share and help you understand the market better, help you understand the technology and the industry better, how they intersect and create new opportunities, not only for OEMs that are bringing these wonderful devices to enterprises and consumers, but how these devices and the technology can enrich lives of consumers and also work in productivity enterprises and, of course, SMBs, right? So with that, gentlemen, thank you so much. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us and listening to us this far. And just wanted to give both of you an opportunity to share with our audience how they can get in touch with you and tap into your research.
Wonderful. I mean, yes, absolutely. Just go to Techaisle.com, see all the wonderful research that we publish, and read all the analyst insights as blogs that we publish there. If you want to reach out, inquiry@Techaisle.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Prakash?
Yeah, same here. All that here. All that information on that website here, all of my research and the insight there as well. And so on LinkedIn, quite active, and Twitter. My Twitter handle is My Tech Musings. Yeah.
He actually meant X, but if you still think it's Twitter, then it's Twitter. It's actually X. I'm just kidding. Okay, all right.
X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And so, hey, everyone, again, thank you so much. Please subscribe to our podcast, and, it'll be featured on the Next Curve YouTube channel. And also, it'll be available in audio version on Buzzsprout. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Take us on your jog, on your drive, and also subscribe to Next Curve Research Portal at www.next-curve.com for the tech and industry insights that matter in the world of consumer and commercial tech. And we'll see you next time. Take care, gentlemen.
Goodbye.
You. Okay.